Every strong institution is built based on the people who bring its mission to life. And the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit is no different. The strength of its work, the credibility of its research, and the impact of its programs is made all possible by a team working behind the scenes. I'm Joshua Hinkson. Thanks for joining us. In this episode, we begin with Kurt Goodridge and director Cheryl Willoughby, who tells us all about the staff of the CJRPU. Now, much of this information is now being made public to Barbadians who did not know we have a crime observatory within the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit. But it's not a one-man show, for lack of a better word. You lead a team as senior research analyst. I want you now to tell us a bit about your team, what roles they play, and how collaboration within that team lends to the success of the crime observatory.
I'm very proud of my team. I have probably one of the best working environments, one of the best teams in I don't want to say Barbados, but I would say in Barbados. So the Barbados Crime Observatory is made up of 3 persons at the moment. We have 2 research consultants and the data analyst. And the data analyst, Mr. Yannick Stevens-Nelsons, what he does is that he produces the graphs that the public tends to see. So when I do presentations, sometimes you'll see graphs in the media, or you'll see bar charts and stuff like that. He produces that. He also does a tremendous job in the geomapping. There's no I in team, so yes, the public may see me presenting the data, but there's a lot of people in the background. The research consultants, Miss Melanie Banfield and Miss Crystal Maynard, they are also very, very important. I did do a lot of the analysis for me as well too. As you can see, as I would have stated earlier, there are a lot of different projects that I'm working on simultaneously. So, for instance, Melanie helps me with the analyzation of the polyclinic data. So when we get that on a monthly basis from the Ministry of Health. She produces the reports for it. She goes through it. She analyzes. She posted the trends for me. Miss Maynard does the same thing with the prison statistics. She posted the trends for me, and then it makes my job easier. I don't have to go look for the trends. They give me the information, and I can write the reports based on the information. So my team is very, very instrumental. But even though those are part of the Barbados Crime Observatory, I want the Barbadian public to remember that the Barbados Crime Observatory is housed within the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit. So even though I have a team specifically in the Barbados Crime Observatory, the entire office, the entire Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit is very vital in helping us. I think one of the biggest supporters and one of my biggest helpers in the office is Miss Andrea Payne. She is tremendous. There's a lot of stuff sometimes that I'm doing, and she will come and she'll take it off my hands for me. She'll format my report. So I write the report, and I don't even have to format it myself. She'll format it for me. She'll align the wording. She'll put it on the letterheads if I have to send it out. If things have to go, she'll put them in the correct space. So it is just more than, it's not just myself. It's more than me and the members of the Barbados Crime Observatory. It's the entire office. I must highlight the senior program officer, Ms. Tamisha Howell, as well too. She's a magnificent person and a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of help. A lot of times I write a lot of reports, and before I even show the report to the director, she's the first person I go to bounce the ideas off of. So even though the Barbados Crime Observatory and I have a very good team in there, I also have to remember the rest of the persons in the office that are very vital and very helpful to me in my work.
I have a magnificent team here. We are all criminologists here. We have persons who are skilled in research, statistics. We have a lot of young people now who are very familiar with the technology. We older folks, sometimes we have to rely on the younger the younger ones in order to help us navigate the systems and so on. So I have a team here that I can rely on. They go way beyond the call of duty. I have Mr. Misha Howell. She's a senior program officer. We have Mr. Kurt Goodrich. He is our senior research analyst. We have Miss Melanie Banfield, who is also one of our research consultants. We have Crystal Maynard, one of our research consultants. And we also have a team of volunteers who come in and give us human service. We talk about young people who are at risk and young people out there committing crime and young people who are not producing. I have a team of young people here who are debunking that myth. I have a group of volunteers here who are working hard, who are just here for the experience and who are contributing to the development of the organization. We have you who came on board to assist us, Josh, with all of our work that we are doing within the communities. And this is work that we cannot put a dollar value to.
Now looking ahead, 30 years on and maybe another 10, another 30 to go. I want to hear from you, Sir David, what word of encouragement you have for the unit in continuing its good work, and also your perspective or your any ideas you have for what would be good research projects going forward, given the changes and prevalence in new crimes and so on. What areas of focus could be tackled going forward?
Well, I am not in a position to pontificate, but I really hope I can live long enough to see a study done into the effect of greed as a risk factor for criminality. It may appear obvious, but I would like to see it tested and let us see to what extent that motivates people to commit crime. Look, the criminological evidence was short, international criminological evidence. When I studied it and when I was up to the time I would quit as AG, was short on that issue. But I think when you examine the types of crime that have been committed in Barbados in the last 5-10 years, particularly drug crimes. You can't tell me that the drug crimes are not motivated by a desire to be greedy, to get power, to get status, to get money. But I would like to see it. You see, I come back to where I started. That is my assumption. I would like to see it tested by the application of scientific methodology and what that methodology showed and what the evidence showed. And I believe that you would find that it is a risk factor. Just as unemployment or poverty or maternal deprivation or poor socialization, absence of any religious interest at all, those things may be, I think, greed is one that needs to be investigated.
Well, I'm sure coming from you, Sir David, who you're the individual who was the brainchild behind the establishment of the task force, now the unit, I'm sure the unit will take on that task in investigating how greed influences crime. Now, Sir David, mindful of the fact that the unit celebrates its 30th anniversary this year, and it's also this month being Crime Awareness Month, any final thoughts from you?
Well, I would like to, first of all, applaud Cheryl Willoughby and her team for the work that they have done in the interest of Barbados. And the good work that this unit has done for raising the standard and the level of criminological investigation to find out what are the criminogenic needs, what are the criminogenic factors that affect crime in Barbados. And I know they've done some studies, I'm sure that they will continue. They will only get better and more sophisticated. I hope that the government keeps funding this agency, this unit, well, so that they can do a proper job of evidence-based research.
30 years for an institution is commendable. There are lots of other institutions that have come and gone. So I am really happy that the organization has stood the test of time. I am certain it is as a result of astute leadership, now under, and has been for a long time, under the leadership of Ms. Cheryl Willoughby. That astute and dedicated leadership would have contributed centrally and very significantly to the sustainability of the institution. And I am happy and satisfied that I was part of the foundation, and that it has evolved into a research and planning unit.
Well, from me, I'd like to say congratulate the unit on 30 years. I'd like to applaud Mrs. Willoughby for spearheading, this charge, and again congratulate the staff on a job well done. Thank you very much for considering us. Thank you very much for the partnership. Thank you very much for making us feel valued and heard in this society, that we can collab with you on matters of national interest. Because obviously if we don't pull back, if we don't deal with what's happening now in society as it relates to crime, then what will we be reaping 5-10 years down the road? So congratulations on your 30 years, and here's to 30 more plus.
Try not to be too long. No, in saying thank you and being invited to the table with the other stakeholders, we can see firsthand how thankless this job may be.
Yes.
Because individuals may not necessarily see the importance of it. But having a seat at the table helps you to see how painstakingly and the commitment that you have to have, and the sacrifice that you made, and not only that, in listening to you guys present the information and the pain and the psychological impact that it has on you as well. So we want to say a heartfelt thank you. It is, the work is really important. Continue the good work, and congratulations on your 30 years.
Okay. I want to commend you guys for the fantastic work that you are doing. I realize that you guys try to be relevant, and that is extremely important. And I want you to continue keeping on. I know it can be very, very difficult. Work with the public is never an easy task, but you guys go out there and you really, really put your foot in the fire to ensure that we have these statistics. So I just want to congratulate you guys and say that you guys are unsung heroes, because all of this fancy work that goes on in society is really built on this type of research that you guys disseminate and produce. So you are the heroes that let us know what is really going on and give us a true picture of what's happening in society.
I will thank them first of all for the jobs they've done over the years. They changed their format and their identity. They were once project focused, trying to make sure the projects to deter persons, and then it was mainly statistics, research, and doing so on. But even the latter format that they're in now, that is really critical, and we appreciate having that information to assist us. The team is excellent. Ms. Willoughby does a very good job with her team, and she shows really excellent persons. They're very personable, and they're dedicated to their work, yes. And the analysis is quite informative for the public and for the courts as well. So I'm wishing them another 30 years or more, and I'm sure it'll be a new format being created, a different entity, but I wish them all the best.
Now, finally, Tamisha, what message do you have for the public who may not know about the daily runnings and happenings of the unit? Its important work in crime prevention and analysis? And also, what hopes or vision do you have for the CJRPU going forward, given the heavy focus on evidence-based research?
But for the public, I would say that everything takes time. It may seem like crime prevention programs are not working, but change takes time. It's not a simple overnight matter. It takes time. It might take years, but you are going to see a result once the organization is working with us in terms of using our data to inform their programs and their projects, because it makes their programs and project more target, more specific, so they know who to target, they know what they need to target in terms of what risk factors to focus on. So don't give up on a crime prevention program. Give it time. I want to say to the public that when it comes to solution, it's not one fit. Meaning that one thing that might work for one community, one thing that you might see work overseas, it's not automatic will work for us. It has to be tailored to us. So it's okay to make recommendations, but you have to be mindful that it has to be tailored. So when it's brought to us, we have to rate, is this feasible? Is this practical? What changes we may have to make? So we might have a program, and you might say, but US is doing something different. It might be the same program, but because we have a different context, we have to adapt it to us. So that is what I would like the public to take from our work as well as our stakeholders' work. And the hope that I have for the department is basically that I want the country of Barbados to continue to shift their view in it, culture and their view when it comes to research. It's important, and I don't think that we understand the importance of it and what it can do to our to assist our programs. People might say, but that's just a number, that's just this and that. But actually, our programs and projects need to be more targeted and specific, and that's where research comes in. So when we have, say, surveys and one of our volunteers are coming to you to answer a question, please don't be harsh. Please, answer the question, because it is going to help our projects. It is going to help our programs.
Well, to the public, and if you don't mind, I'll address that first. There's often not an appreciation for the process of decision making in government. Sometimes there's a perception that decisions that are made by the government are made whimsically. Sometimes they're seen as being knee-jerk. Sometimes they seem completely out of nowhere. I have the role of handling one of the most challenging portfolios because crime is an issue, and we've committed as a government that the largest call on public resources will be for citizen safety and security. It touches everybody, the young, the old, the healthy, the ill. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. There's a potential that you can be affected by crime. And it is important for the public to understand that when government is engaged in the process of decision making, that we have a number of inputs. And I imagine that they understand it when it comes to finance, because you have the central bank and the accountants and all those people, but they don't seem to appreciate that when it comes to matters of law and order, when it comes to matters of criminal punishment and so on, that these things, these inputs are important to making decisions. So to the public, I want to assure them that Barbados has the benefit of some of the finest minds who are able to advise on some of the issues. The unit doesn't specifically advise, but by giving us the benefit of conclusions derived from data, derived from research, then it can help the government to decide how it's going to operate. So as part of our decision-making process, they're very important, and to the public I want to say that they're really the unsung heroes of the system. To the members of the unit, I'd of course thank them for the work that they've done. We've seen a lot of things change in the 30 years. Perhaps at the time when the unit was established 30 years ago, we didn't consider that their inputs would be so significant or so relied upon. The crime situation 30 years ago was very different. 30 years ago, you'd find a fellow with a gun and 3 bullets, maybe even 2 bullets.
If a gun at all.
If a gun at all. Guns were not the go-to method of defending yourself. Guns were talked about, but really were not features. We have a completely different situation today. Young people involved in crime 30 years ago are very different. But in the last year, the police service has arrested a large number of people under the age of 16, under the age of 18. We're finding last year we had at least 5 murders that were committed by individuals who were 21 and under, and I'm fairly sure at least 4 of them were people 18 and under. So these are things that were not present 30 years ago. The world has changed, the Barbadian dynamic has changed, the Barbadian society has changed. It's important that we have eyes examining the situation that are contemporary. Unfortunately, Barbadians want Barbados to have crime stats of the 1970s and the 1980s, but in order for that to happen, we must have a society that functions just like it did in the 1970s and 80s. The CJRPU of 30 years ago was looking at a different Barbados, a Barbados that sadly does not exist in the same way today. And therefore, the 30 years that have passed have been 30 years of experience, 30 years of being able to observe the Barbadian society as it has morphed into somewhat a different society, 30 years of seeing how our young people responded to threats, how our young people responded to anger, how our young people responded to dealing with their issues, as opposed to today. So there have been a lot of changes, but I see a unit that is staffed largely by young people, young social scientists, young researchers, young criminologists, and I'm very confident that they're able to address these issues in a Barbados of today, but perhaps more importantly, to be the building blocks for another 30 years for the unit. And I want to congratulate them for their work and thank them for their work.
So, Director, I want you to reflect. Now, I give you now the final word. I want you to reflect on your years here as director of this unit and being a part of an institution that has stood the test of time, created in 1995, an idea that has now become an institution, an idea birthed from Sir David, now standing tall as a pillar of the criminal justice system. What reflections do you have in mind? Also bearing in mind that we're in Crime Awareness Month.
What I will say is that when I first joined the National Task Force on Crime Prevention, as it was known then, and now the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit, I never thought that we would have had to work so hard. It is not an 8 to 5 job or a 9 to 5 job. We work on weekends. We are out there working with organizations, with at-risk youth. We are working with parents. When you conduct research, you can't conduct research between 9 and 5 because that's when people are at work. Yeah. So you have to utilize your weekends. You have to utilize your off time to get it done. And because the unit is so small and specialized, you cannot have any and everybody sitting down and moving paper from one side to the next because you have to know what you're doing. The staff has to be very competent in SPSS, statistical package for social scientists, where they actually have to input data, crime data, into a database and be able to generate reports and graphs and be able to study those graphs and determine what that graph is saying to them. So because of the specialized nature, it takes a lot of mental capacity to be able to get it done and get it done well. I think that one of my, I don't know if you would call it a shortcoming, but I am a stickler for professionalism. I like to see it done well. If I have to send you back 10 times, that is what it will take. Because I believe that if it is coming from the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit, it has to be professionally done. And so I often say to my staff that when we go there, we don't only represent the department, we represent the Office of the Attorney General. And so when we are in the field, it has to be a professional approach that we conduct ourselves in such a manner that we reflect the ethos of the department. So in looking back, I would say that I have tremendously enjoyed my work. I love my staff. I love working with them. It is my goal to ensure that the department continues to give of its best in the tenure that I have left, and to make sure that whatever comes out of the department, it can stand up to international scrutiny.
From research to data analysis to programming and community interventions, the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit has been giving dedicated service to our nation for 3 decades. I thank you for tuning in to this series where we focused on this idea turned into an institution. I also thank our valued partners and stakeholders for sharing their perspectives on the CJRPU. I'm Joshua Hinkson. Thanks for your time.